Hello everyone, it's been a while since the last Voron 2 episode, but I've been working on the Voron 2 since the move at least, and yeah, as you can see, quite a bit changed. So what this episode will be is basically me covering stuff that I've done since the last episode, which was over a year ago or something like that. Obviously I moved in between, and then yeah, I had to get the printer working again, and I also did a bunch of mods. So yeah, that's what I'll cover in this video, and you can see the color change already. There are some mods here that's not so obvious, and there's also the Voron Tap. I also had to do the bed, get the voltage of the bed fixed, and also change the software running in this, so now I'm actually running Mainsail, and yeah, I'll talk about that. So yeah, I don't have a lot of footage, that's the reason why I'm doing this like this. So yeah, I guess I'll just cover the stuff. So in the last video, which was again over a year ago, I think, the problem with this printer was at the time that I think the tool head melted, and then I replaced the tool head with the MGF parts, but I never managed to get this printer printing well again after that. And yeah, after the move, the plan was to fix it, and I did fix it. But I think the main problem was, I think these like A and B drives or the idlers or whatever, some parts were, I think, just heat creeps or something like that. My chamber temperatures in this printer, that the molten tool had happened after I tried printing CFP I have no idea what the chamber temperatures were, but my chamber temperatures, even when I'm printing ABS, reach 70 degrees Celsius, sometimes 75. So yeah, CFP must have been even higher, and my parts were printed out of ABS Plus, and they just didn't last. So yeah, I reprinted the entire gantry, as you can see, and they're printed out of ABS this time instead of ABS Plus. ABS Plus is fine for most things, but ABS has a higher temperature resistance than ABS Plus, which is why I went with ABS. These parts were printed on the Voron 0, so the print quality isn't great. I talked about this a million times, but yeah, just in case you haven't seen any of my me complaining about my Voron 0. My Voron 0 has some problems, so the print quality isn't great or anything, but the parts are all functional, which is what matters. And the Voron 2 right now is printing a lot better than that, a lot better than my Voron 0. This is just the Voron 0 print quality. That's not my normal print quality. When I did the Gantry Reprint, I also did a bunch of mods. So here, for example, you can see the tops of the pins. So I did the pins mod. Pins mod replaces M5 screws with 5mm shafts. 5mm shafts are closer to 5mm. M5 screws aren't really 5mm. M5 screws also have threads on them, which bearings can just wear into them and cause problems. It's not really that necessary. I mean, M5 screws work just fine. This is more of a Gucci mod, but I wanted to do it anyway. Voron 2.2 back in the day, which is what I initially built this printer as, didn't use M5 screws for as shafts. Only Voron 2.4 started to do that, but that was mostly a cost-cutting measure, I think. But I wanted to go back to 5mm shafts, and I did. I'm also using those in the Z tensioners, the front tensioners, A and B drives, and wherever you have a bearing stack or an idler riding on an M5 screw, they're all replaced with 5mm shafts. I also did the GE5C Z-joint mod. I don't think I'll be able to show that well, but yeah, it says, I think they call that a spherical bearing or something like that. It just replaces the part that's for allowing some motion on the gantry, so for the gantry to be what the quad gantry leveling fixes. Basically, if your gantry is like this, quad gantry leveling makes it flat, but that you need to allow for that motion. Normally you have two plastic ABS parts riding on each other, but spherical bearings in theory should be better, and that's what I'm using right now. The Micron also uses spherical bearings, but those are IGUS bearings that are, I think, ceramic. This is just standard metal bearings, but yeah, they work, so it doesn't really matter. I also did the MGN 12 rail upgrade. I was running the dual MGN 9 rail setup before, so that is another change. And yeah, also switched to Stealthburner here, as you can see. So this even Stealthburner is news. It's been that long since the last episode. The Stealthburner is the reason for the color change. So you can see the color change. Now it's orange and black instead of gray and black. And the only reason I wanted the orange tool head is this. I don't know if you like South Park, but to me this is very funny. So yeah, I wanted to be able to do this, so I changed to orange. That's simple, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Though there are some parts that I need to upgrade as a result, like these gray parts need to be switched to orange, so that needs to happen. But yeah, I'll talk about what's planned for this printer later. You can also see my KUSBA mount on the side, so if you haven't seen that video, that's an ADXL 345 accelerometer with a RP2040 on the same PCB, so it's a USB ADXL 345 accelerometer. Makes ADXL 345 tuning much easier in my opinion, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It's my KUSBA mount with Samwise's cover on top, because I think that also looks pretty nice. There you go, you can see the Voron logo there, so yeah, I think that looks pretty nice too. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that setup too. Also have the Hartk toolhead PCB now. You can see this here. Getting this mounted here was a bit of a pain, because this is not compatible with my current setup. I have a Galileo extruder here, but I wanted a two-piece Hartk PCB, so you can see that it's on an angle. I do not recommend you do this, but in my case it works fine. Some of the pins are bent, that's how I'm doing this, but again, I don't recommend this. Also, Hartk PCB doesn't support 5-volt sensors, and the tap sensor is 5 volts, so the Hartk PCB itself is also modified to allow for this. Though with the tap, there is a 24-volt compatible PCB for the switch as well. I'm just not using that. I'm not even using any PCB for the switch. I'm using the switch itself, which is one of the options for the tap. So I guess I should talk a bit about the tap, since that is news. If you haven't heard about this, you should check out the Voron live stream. But yeah, I've been testing the Voron Tap on this printer for a while, and yeah, you can see what it does. It moves the tool head up and down like this. Basically makes your nozzle the probe reference point, like the just like the piezoelectric, like precision piezo, for example, nozzle probes, but instead of those, it doesn't rely on a piezoelectric sensor, and there is an optical switch in the back that allows for this. Like, there is a flag that goes into the optical switch when the tool head is down, so that is triggered. Tool head moves up, that is untriggered. So yeah, this does, the chamber temperatures have no effect on this, which is very nice. And yeah, it works really well. You know, this motion makes you feel like this might cause some problems, especially on the print quality side. And initially, when I first started testing this months ago, it did, but there have been improvements to this. And one of the things I found is there are two magnets in here that pull the tool head down, and those magnets have to be strong. That is very important. I'm pretty sure I was using N35 magnets. I switched those to N52, and also did a reprint, did a new version, reprinted a new version of this, another beta. So I'm not sure, technically I don't know which one fixed it, but I'm pretty sure it's the magnet. With the new magnets, yeah, never had any problems. This works very well, and the results are very accurate, and doesn't really, the chamber temperatures don't really affect the results as well, which is very nice. I'll put a clip of the screen doing quad gantry leveling on the screen so you can see it in action, and yeah, it works pretty well. So if this is something you're interested in, you should check out the Voron Design livestream. I'm pretty sure the files for this are now released as well, so if you want to build this, yeah, you can. You should. I'll, I guess, link them in the description below. There is an MGN9 rail in here for this motion, an optical switch, and a bunch of magnets, screws, whatever. So it's not a very expensive upgrade. And another advantage of this is you no longer need the Z limit switch. So that is another thing. So in terms of BOM cost, this actually is like Inductive Pro plus Z limit switch probably costs about the same as this, but this is much better. Though this is not the easiest build in the world, so you should probably keep that in mind as well. But if you're watching this channel, I assume you've built 3D printers in the past, and I think you should be able to do this. So yeah, Again, links in the description below. But speaking of the Z-limit switch, I also did the Sexbolt Z-limit switch upgrade as well. But as you can see, I'm no longer have the Z-limit switch there. The Sexbolt Z-limit switch is a much nicer Z-limit switch than the stock Z-limit switch. Though the stock Z-limit switch still works just fine. It's just yeah, it's just nicer. But with the tap, I no longer need that. So yeah, I don't think I even installed this on this printer. I just built it, and yeah, that was that, I think. And again, that was printed on the Voron 0, so that is the reason for the bad print quality. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. There are a lot of things I need to do, so I guess I should probably move on to that. You can see that I removed, actually this is technically something I've also done. You can see that I removed NRageRabbit Project Carrot feeder from here, and Nevermore Max V1 air filter from here. So, and yeah, the top chamber is right now a mess. So yeah, those will be back. NRageRabbit Project Carrot feeder, there have been at least one, probably more versions released of that, and my NRageRabbit Project Carrot feeder was printed pretty badly as well. Again, printed on the Voron 0, but you know, just to be clear, I'm not saying Voron 0s in general print bad or anything like that. It's my Voron 0 that needs to be fixed, and I'm actually working on that too. And Nevermore Max V1, it was fine. I just wanted to upgrade that. There's a Nevermore Max V2, and I've been working on that. And actually, the parts for that are already printed, and I already started working on that, and that will be in the next episode. So yeah, it's pretty much ready. Like, all the parts are printed. I'm working on a PCB design. That's the thing that's been I'm trying to figure out. And then once the custom PCB I'm working on is finalized, that video will be released too. And yeah, it looks pretty interesting, the Nevermore Max V2. So I'm really looking forward to that. One thing that needs to be done as a result though is this aluminum plate has the Nevermore Max V1, and not even the stock Nevermore Max V1, my Nevermore Max V1 air guide holes, or whatever you call them, and that is a problem. So I either need to replace this plate, or I think I'm just going to design some sort of an adapter that sits on top and just guides the air that in a way that works for me, so works for the setup. So yeah, that is something I also need to do. I guess that will also be in the next video. I haven't worked on that, so that might take a while, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, the plan is to mount the Nevermore Max V2 here, just like before, and an NRageRabbit Project Carrot feeder here, just like before. And yeah, in the long run, I also need to figure out how to do the filament guides and the spool holders and things like that for the NRageRabbit Project Carrot feeder. I guess I can just add another layer with extrusions on top and have the spool holders on top or something like that. Need to figure that out, I don't know, but yeah, should be, we'll see, I guess, in the future, I don't know. Other than that, need to reprint the skirts. These skirts weren't printed that well. Need to reprint these accent color parts in orange. I need to work on this lighting setup a bit right now. Again, do as I say, not as I do. Don't ever do this. This side of the light is just hanged from the cables that are soldered on the light for the for the power of the LED strip. And this side I'm just using a piece of string. Again, don't do this. That is something I also need to fix, and we will also work on that in a later episode. Yeah, I guess that's all. Things I've done. I guess I should probably go back to that. I finally switched from Octoprint to Mainsail. I know it's been a while since Mainsail was good. I tried Mainsail when it was first released, and while it was good, it was lacking a lot of features. I made a video about this a while ago, why I still was using Octoprint at the time. So yeah, a lot has changed in the last video. I also had to switch the voltage of the bed from 220 volts to 110 volts, which means I needed a new bed heater. And that is the one thing I have footage of, so I guess I'll put that in the video right now. This is the replacement heater I bought for my Voron 2.4. Obviously I needed to buy one because the Voron 2.4 uses an AC heater because of its large power requirement, and I come from a 220 volt country, and here I need 110 volts. So bought this from Fabreeko, the Honey Badger. a 350 sized heater. This is the reason I bought this is A, because it has faster shipping than Kinovo. Obviously shipping from China obviously takes some time, but B, I also do like that this is a little larger than the Kinovo and uses these cutouts to achieve that. This also fits the Trident as well, so this is the universal version. They also have a Trident specific version for some reason, but I don't know the details about why that, you know, why didn't they just make the universal, I don't know. But yeah, this is the heater. It also comes with some sort of a sleeving over the cable, but you know, the wires inside are the standard. On the other side, you don't see the usual 368 MP. Instead, you see the Pentium. Now, I don't know what this adhesive is, but it might be the Schnitzel glue. It's some sort of a fancy German adhesive for mounting the bed. And no, it's not egg. I don't know if any of you will get that joke. You know, when you make a schnitzel, you use eggs to attach the breadcrumbs to the meat. And definitely not 386 either. Maybe it's the 486, I don't know. I'll use this on the Voron too, so yeah, tearing the other heater from the bed will be a pain, but yeah, I guess I'll be back with this thing mounted to the bed. I drilled new holes on the bed, as you can see, and as you can see, I also mounted the heater to the bed as well, and have the fuse here. I'm also going to put a ring terminal grounding wire underneath that as well to ground the bed. There's also another fuse in here. That's one of the features of this Honey Badger bed heater. There's another thermal fuse in here, so this is just as an extra protection. Well, even in a normal setup, the software should stop the bed from overheating, so it is already an extra layer of protection, but in this case it's an extra layer of protection. So yeah, I'll be back with this installed on the Voron 2. So I recorded that, and basically after that stopped recording. I just needed this printer working again as quickly as possible. 3D printing, not just 3D printing, things around 3D printing as well, like 3D design, PCB design, assembling stuff, programming, even Arduino programming, things like that. All that stuff is turning into a business for me. This 3D printing, while I did the occasional 3D printing job back in the day as well, but it wasn't really a business for me. Like, we made some money from it, but nothing really that serious. Nowadays, this thing is turning into a business, and right now, not just 3D printing again, but things I just mentioned are sort of becoming my job right now. I don't have a quote-unquote real job, but yeah, all that means is I need a working 3D printer, and I needed a working 3D printer at the time as quickly as possible. And this is the only printer I have that was large enough for an order I accepted. So yeah, I just rushed the build of this printer basically, and I didn't have enough time to shoot any footage for this after that, so that's the reason for this. Otherwise I normally would have, but yeah, it takes a lot of time to record these videos. Not like this. This doesn't take that much time. Like, I think I've been recording for about an hour, but yeah, the recording at every step of the process like I normally do takes a lot longer than this. So yeah, I just couldn't do that. That's the reason. But yeah, printer's been working pretty well since then, and yeah, no complaints there. I'm pretty happy with it. The spring steel sheet, I think I'm going to buy a new one as well. The textured side of this is in pretty bad condition, as you can see. On the smooth side, I have 1mm thick PEI, so that hasn't been any. That's been working pretty well, and you know, no problems there. But I do like to be able to print on the textured side as well, so that is another thing I'll do. And there are a few minor things like that I'll need to do, but again, nothing major. So again, the plan is, as I talked about before, skirts, accent color parts, air filter, and Rejabit project. Yeah, I also need to finish the top skirts. I think I forgot to mention that. And yeah, just some polishing, lighting, etc. So as I said, I already printed the parts for and already partially assembled even the Nevermore Max V2 air filter, so that is coming to the channel pretty soon. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like down below, and thanks for watching.